listen to me. I always think big. I'm like a multi-millionaire. I'm like, I don't need the millions. I'm over the millionaire, Melissa. I'm rewriting this summit. We're into the multi-millions, you guys. Millionaire mindset is again, first of all, it's a daily energetic choice. So a lot of times when you're wanting to build your empire, your energetic empire, whatever that is to you, whether it's a rock-solid business or an online business or whatever that is to you, a lot of times we run into resistance, and a lot of that's energetic resistance, and sometimes it's just 3D reality resistance. And so this is what differentiates me and my success, and it really, really does. You can ask anyone who knows me really well from other people who have not obtained or reached what I've obtained in this business is I made a decision a long time ago that I was going to be what I call a through person, meaning here's a question you can ask yourself, do you give up or do you go around it, through it, over it, obliterate it, blow it up, figure it out? I hear no, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now I get to be really creative and figure out how to turn it into a yes, and not just a yes, but an amazing 100-fold beneficial yes. So I always see a no or resistance as a super amazing secret gift.
Yeah, I totally see that, and I teach my kids the same thing. It's really interesting how they problem solve compared to most kids their age, because they've just been taught, like, okay, like, there's no such thing as I can't. I can this, and we'll figure this out. So I think really getting our mind switched over to that possibility, just like, the what's impossible is only in only the stretch of our mind and our imagination, and what we think is impossible. Like, we're in control of what's possible or not possible for us based on where we are in our mind about it, and our heads about it, and our beliefs about it, and our thoughts about it, and our actions that either move us towards the I can't or towards the I can. So I love that you talked about, like, a through person. I would have never said it in that way, but that's awesome.
Where we get up, and I see my clients get hung up, Melissa, is they get a vision, which is good, because you create a thought form, and that can become, a hardcore physical touch reality. But sometimes when you're too restrictive and you're like, this is my path, and it's going to involve going through person A, and then it's going to activity B, and then it's going to result in C, you miss it. You're too busy, like, stuck on, and this is kind of the opposite of what I just said, but it's the same thing. At the same time, you have to be a through person. You can't be a through person and hold to your own stubborn determination of what that's going to look like.
Right. And sometimes I get to a point where because this happens to me, of course I'm human, of course you're human, and this happens to everybody. As I'm moving forward, I have this vision, and I have these goals, and I have these dreams, and I'm moving forward, and it's not working like how I thought it would. It's not working how I see it in my mind. It's not working how I see it in the big picture, and I get so frustrated. And then, even then I have a choice. I can either just be so angry at myself, or sometimes I hit my knees. Like, literally, I hit my knees and I say, hey, I trust that there's a bigger picture. I trust that there's a way that I can't see right now, and I'm trusting that, whatever that is, and it's part of letting go of the hows. Because so many times, we're conditioned into trying to control everything, and we're taught to think that, everything is just in our control. And, I believe that as far as our thoughts and our actions and where we are in that space. But when you believe that there's something bigger than you that can make it happen, whatever that looks like, whether that's the universe, whether that's source, whether that's God, whatever that looks like for somebody, it gives you so much more power, because you know that it is more than just you. As long as you're doing what it takes, and, you're thinking the way you're supposed to think, and you're taking the action steps towards you want, there's always a bigger picture, even if it's not what it looks like to you. Does that make sense? Would you agree with that?
To me, that goes to the principle of empowerment versus surrender, because really, in this 3D reality, you attain the highest position by becoming a servant, not by mastering. So it's kind of what you just said in a different way. It's that daily, continual surrender of your ego to the bigger picture, the bigger cause, the bigger purpose. And sometimes that means you take a smaller role because it's better for the whole. It's better for whatever you're trying to put across. And that can be in a small way or that can be in a huge message. But I think that gets lost, and everybody's scrambling for these visible, out there, in front positions. Seriously, I believe most of the power players in the entire universe, 3D reality, are the ones that are unseen and we don't even know their names.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be visible and wanting to be seen.
No, that's somebody's gift. That's a gift. I mean, usually the people that accomplish that, they have a combination of gifts that allow that quite easily and naturally, if that makes sense. And I'm the first one. You can talk to my clients. That's one of the things I facilitate is I'm like, okay, stop talking to me. And we were just talking about this. So you and I, how are you going to step out? How are you going to be seen? Because there's that opposite problem, too, of people that are amazing and that are hiding.
Right. Right. And that goes for so many people listening right now. Is, and I think that brings out the part of why are you hiding? What are you afraid of being small? Or are you afraid of being big? Is it a combination of both? What is it? And anyway, and that I would love you to take some time. It's okay. We're just kind of going with the flow on this interview, so I hope you're okay with this. If there's something that you can lead us in, for those who have shrunk down when we know there's so much more, every single one of you listening is a beautiful soul, and you're a beautiful person, and you can have such an amazing, beautiful, successful life. You just have to let yourself. So for those people, is there something you can do for them, live on this call?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I've been seeing a lot, and the same thing when I look at your listeners, because all time is now, so we know this call's already happened, so I can see with an ability that I have, I can kind of see who's out there and what's going on, and it's consistent with what I'm seeing and maybe what you're seeing, too, in your private practice, Melissa, but I'm seeing a lot of energy debris still in people's fields, and if we can get some of that cleaned up in this process, it'll be absolutely amazing, because sometimes you just need that deep breath and you can move forward. It's like when you're swimming and you get that stitch in your side and you're like, okay, if I can get one deep breath, I can make it, the last couple 100 yards. So I'd like to do a kind of a clearing that addresses that. I don't really have a name for it. It's not super planned, so I'm just kind of going with the flow. I asked Melissa if I could do it. Okay, so we're going to do kind of a clean sweep of energetic debris in your field and any thought forms that you wish to let go of. Some of you have great, amazing thought forms, but there's a lot of thought forms and fields I see that are amazing and that maybe it's time and you're willing to release. So take a deep breath and then let it all the way out, then breathe normal. Just relax. And this is going to be more cleansing, so you should be okay if you're driving or anything. You don't need to pull over. This is just, you might feel some energy shift, but you should be okay. So we're going to begin about half a foot above the crown, and we're going to sweep away and discharge any customs, any rules, any beliefs, or mixed motivations. We're going to travel down to the neck area. And when we're doing this, we're doing front and back. So I might say words that make you think of the front of the body, but this actually covers all the way through your whole energy field, front and back. So I'm just saying certain words to give you guys a visual. So we travel down to the neck area, and we're going to weave through the field, and we're going to cleanse self-worth issues, any remnants of that, and we're going to replace that with an amazing, strong, clear self-love energy that is completely free from the judgment of others in regards to self. I'm going to let that sit a second. Then we're going to drop down kind of to the center of your body, and this is where I see a lot of lingering, kind of where the fear, rage, terror kind of gathers in kind of the pit of your stomach type feelings. So a lot of those energies kind of hang out there, and we get used to them, and we don't know what it feels like not to kind of have that knot in the pit of our stomach when we go about our daily lives. So right now, throughout all time, space, and dimensions, and outside of all time, space, and dimension, and sometimes you'll hear me say TSD when I do a lot of work, just so you know if I slip into that. We give up all hopelessness. We release all helplessness and any acts that were committed out of the ego or out of selfishness. We're going to let those slip out for a second and let that process out. And then we're going to call back in, because some of you have let this go, we're going to call back in our own personal power. And in this reality, you have free will, and you have dominion over your life and over your spaces and over your choices, and that's a gift of this reality. So we're going to take all that back. Anywhere we've given that away, given it up, hidden, as we were talking about from that, we're going to take that back right now. And then we're going to move on and drop down to the hips and the sacral area. And a lot of times there's a girding here I see energetically. It's where we like gird, that old expression, gird our loins. It's like really weird because it's energetically accurate. So there's like layers of weird energy here. It's almost like, you know, we're protecting ourselves in this area. And why that's so kind of risky for you is because that's the womb of creation, and that's where we, in our energy field, so often the birth of new ideas and creative energy flows from. So we're going to drop our guard, and this is usually put up a lot of times in childhood for self-survival. So we're going to drop our guard there, and we're going to drop again, kind of let the ego go and let all those self-protective mechanisms that served us once but no longer serve us, we're going to let that go. And a really interesting energy is coming in, and we're going to let it in, and we're going to welcome collaboration. So like Melissa said, we're not going to stand alone. We're going to seek out community. We're going to seek out strategic partnerships. We're going to put our energy out there and invite others' energy in and see what we can create together as well as separately. And we're going to let that, oh, that's nice. Feel that coming in. Okay, then we're going to travel down a little bit to let's go to our lower legs and our feet area. And I just saw this today in working with clients. A lot of times everyone's like, I'm stuck, and I look at their energy field, and there's a fog, or even worse, it's like a quicksand or sluggish energy or sticky energy around the leg and the feet area. And we're going to dissolve this right now for those of you that are willing to let this go, that feeling of being stuck and frozen, and there's a lot of words to describe that. But we're going to let that dissolve right now, and we're going to picture that as a liquid, free-flowing crystal pool of flowing water, so the opposite of anything rigid. We're just going to let that kind of flow off of us. And then we're going to take a look at our thoughts and beliefs and feelings that are not in alignment with our personal, and this is individual, our personal reason why we're here. So our own soul purpose, who we are being. And we're going to address that specifically now in the energy of 2015, because each year and each month and each day, it has its own energetics going on. So this is specific for the energy of 2015. And we're going to let that go. And then, like we talked about, energetic residue interferes with our spiritual expansion, and that's something that we need to agree, or you need to agree to let go before I do this next part of the process, because we're going to obliterate the things that you're willing to let blow up or let go out of your field. So I'm going to briefly sweep and clear, and I know Melissa's supporting me, which is so cool, the physical, the etheric, if I can feel you working with me, the mental and the astral planes. And we're going to close up any portholes that were willingly or unwillingly open to lower energies, either by us, by other people, or other energies. We're going to close those up and seal those right now. I'll take a minute. Hold on. And now we're going to release. There's just a lot of specific frequencies I'm seeing, I don't normally do this, but because Melissa's supported it, I'm just going to do a little deeper work than I usually do in a process. So we're going to release some certain frequencies, and as this comes up for you, and you guys will know what you resonate with, I want you just to let these roll off because you're being really supported in unconditional love right now, and I want you to know that. So I see a lot of frequencies, kind of a sticky energy of drugs, illicit and prescription meds. So if you want to clean your field out of those, you can let that go right now. There's some people that have had, not a lot, but a few of you looks like you have other people's energy inside of you in a physical form. So I'm reading that as possible, like an organ transplant or some kind of thing. I would highly recommend, if you're open to it, you release that energy of that other person, because that's not your frequency choice, so I'd let that energy out of my field. You can still have a perfectly functioning organ. I could tell you lots of stories. I used to work for the heart transplant team about how you adopt the personality sometime and all their problems and all their strengths of the other person. So there's a few of you out there that have this situation, and you've been puzzled about some things, so I suggest you use this opportunity if you're willing to let that go. I know it's kind of weird and specific, but I feel like I'm supposed to mention it. A lot of alcohol. I'm a big fan of alcohol, but when it's too much, it can gunk up your liver and gunk up your field, so we're going to let that go. Huge, 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 huge issue, stress and exhaustion. A lot of type A personalities out there. You guys need to breathe, not just actually breathe, because a lot of you hold your breath a lot. You also need to stop and have fun and play and connect with the joy and the love and this beautiful life that you're putting all your energy into creating. We need to connect with that. So let go of all that exhaustion energy and the stress. It doesn't have to be. We can let that go. And then there's a lot of you that have been in, it looks like, car accidents and had some, it's funny because we think we just have trauma to the body and we go to the chiropractor, but there's so much trauma to the energy field. So I'm going to do a little repair work for a couple seconds on that. Trauma. I see a lot of trauma in the energy field. And then something else which makes me want to cry, really touching as a woman. Some of you have chosen, and it's okay, to terminate pregnancies for whatever reason, and you haven't forgiven yourself, and there's a lot of guilt and shame. And right now, just giving you permission in this environment, supported by Melissa, supported by me, supported by the group energy, please let that go once and for all. And if you're crying or you have emotions come up, please just allow that to process. It's not shameful. We are new energetic beings every day. Forgive yourself. There's no judgment. And that being lives eternally and still exists. There's just no judgment there. Let that go. And then I'm seeing physical abuse, domestic violence type stuff come up. Again, some of you are still living in these situations. You need to get it out of your energy field and let it go. And then realize there's help. You can make new choices. Let that wash out of your energy field. Some of you have serious chronic illnesses and battle pain on a daily basis. There is, again, alternative and hope for that. So I'm going to kind of clean up maybe the hope, depressive, anxious side of that a little bit for a couple minutes. Gosh, Melissa, I just want to keep going, but I know we don't have time. Oh, my goodness. I think I should stop for Melissa's sake, or she's going to be like, Dr. Kimberly ran my program because we were cut off. So I'm going to wrap that up. Now I want to keep going and going and going because I see you guys and your energy's coming up, and I know Melissa sees you guys too. But we just release these specific frequencies throughout all time, all space, all dimensions, and outside of all time, all space, all dimension. Now, and we say this in love, and so it was, and so it is, and so it will be.
And I just want to say a big amen. Yes. Thank you so much for that. Very, very needed. I must want to break the silence. It's so beautiful. So thank you. And yeah, like, you guys are so loved. If you could just see yourself the way that we can see you, it would change everything. So, yeah, beautiful. So thank you so much. And I guess my last question would be, geez, I don't want to move on. I'm still sitting in.
It's an amazing energy. I'm just like, be quiet, Melissa.
Yeah.
Energy. Thank you.
And like the bliss of it all, and the just the releasing of everything that we don't no longer.
That felt good to me. That was beautiful. So thank you for supporting. I want you guys to know that Melissa's very talented and she supports you guys energetically. I want you to know that.
Yeah. So let's just sit in this for a minute before I move on with what's next. So take myself a deep breath. Okay. So of course, naturally, the next steps for me, and some of the things that I'm trying to move forward, the next step would be to move forward. And so I'm just wondering what you would say would be some like action steps. I love energy work, and it has such a need and such a purpose, and it allows us a chance to be able to move forward. But oftentimes, what I see is that we don't take that action step towards our success, and we hold the vision for everything, and we're writing down